There's a moment, sharp and electric, when the mask slips. When a bad person realizes you see them, truly see them. You're no longer buying the charm, the flattery, the fake concern. You've caught the manipulation in motion, and now they know you know. That's when everything changes. Their tactics shift from sneaky to surgical, from sweet to strategic. You're not imagining it. You've stepped into psychological warfare. Have you ever felt that icy jolt? That sudden, undeniable clarity when someone you once trusted, someone who presented themselves so impeccably, reveals a glimpse of something darker. It's like a sudden crack appears in a perfectly crafted facade, and for a fleeting second, you see the true machinery behind the smile. Perhaps it was a word too sharp, a glance too cold, or a pattern of behavior that finally clicked into place. In that instant, the air changes. The comfortable illusion shatters. You're no longer an unwitting participant in their game. You're an observer, a witness to their true nature. And the most unsettling part, they know you've seen it. They feel that shift in your gaze, that subtle tightening of your posture, that unspoken understanding that the charade is over. This isn't a scene from a dramatic movie. It's a profound, often painful reality we navigate in our lives, whether in personal relationships, professional circles, or even within our own families. It's the moment when the manipulator, the deceiver, the toxic individual recognizes that their primary weapon, your ignorance, has been disarmed. Their carefully constructed world of control, built on your unawareness, suddenly trembles. And in that tremor, they don't retreat. No, they adapt. They pivot. The subtle whispers might turn into overt gaslighting. The feigned concern might morph into calculated sabotage. What was once veiled cunning becomes an open, albeit psychological, battle. This shift can be disorienting, even frightening. Your natural inclination might be to react with anger, confusion, or a desperate need to defend your newfound perception. But what if there was another way? A path forged by ancient wisdom, designed not to fight fire with fire, but to protect your inner sanctuary from the flames. Here's the liberating truth, a profound truth echoed through the ages. You don't have to react with rage or fear. You don't have to descend into the emotional fray they invite you to. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who governed an empire, Epictetus, the former slave who taught freedom of the mind, Seneca, the statesman who navigated treacherous political waters, faced betrayal, backstabbing, and mind games at the highest levels of power. They lived amidst the very individuals we speak of, those whose outward appearance belied their true intentions. Yet, they mastered the art of keeping their soul intact in the middle of chaos. Their wisdom isn't just theory or abstract thought, it's a battle-tested shield for your inner peace, a timeless guide to navigating human complexities without losing yourself. They understood that true power lies not in controlling others, but in controlling your own reactions, your perceptions, and your internal world. In this video, we'll break down 8 insidious things toxic individuals do when they know they've been exposed, and most importantly, how to meet each one with stoic clarity, strength, and an unshakable calm. This isn't about vengeance or retribution, it's about protecting your peace, owning your awareness, and refusing to be played. It's about cultivating an inner fortress that no external deception can penetrate. If you've ever felt the sting of being used, the bewildering confusion of manipulation, or the quiet, empowering realization of seeing through it all, this one's for you. This journey into Stoic wisdom will illuminate the hidden tactics of those who seek to control and, more importantly, empower you with the mental tools to stand firm, serene, and sovereign in your own life. For more insights that empower your mind, bring peace to your spirit, and cultivate lasting happiness, make sure to subscribe to the Stoic Philosophy channel. By joining our community, you'll gain access to a continuous stream of videos designed to strengthen your mind, bring profound serenity to your daily life, and help you live with unshakable purpose. Click that subscribe button and let's embark on this journey together to fortify your inner world. We've all encountered them. Individuals whose intentions are not pure, whose smiles hide agendas, whose words are carefully chosen tools for manipulation rather than genuine connection. The very air around them can feel subtly different, laden with an unspoken tension, a sense that something isn't quite right even before we can pinpoint it. This isn't just about dealing with difficult people, it's about navigating the insidious landscape of deceit when it's cloaked in familiarity, when it comes from someone you might have trusted, admired, or even loved. The true challenge isn't merely in identifying these individuals, though that alone can be a revelation. It's in understanding the profound psychological labyrinth they create once their deception is unveiled. Imagine, if you will, standing on what you believe to be solid ground. You've built relationships, invested emotions, perhaps even shared vulnerabilities, only to discover that beneath your feet, the earth was always shifting, designed to give way at their whim. The moment of recognition, when the scales fall from your eyes and you see the true face of manipulation, is often met with a cascade of jarring emotions: confusion, betrayal, anger, even a deep sense of personal failure for not seeing it sooner. This internal maelstrom can be as disorienting as the external tactics of the manipulator themselves. They thrive in that confusion. They feed on your emotional reaction, using it as fuel to further their agenda. The problem deepens when they realize you've caught on. Their charade is over. Their primary weapon, your ignorance, has been disarmed. This isn't a defeat for them, it's merely a signal to change tactics. They will not simply retreat with a shrug. Instead, they will pivot with calculated precision, transforming from a subtle influence to a strategic opponent. The sweet words turn bitter, the feigned concern becomes thinly veiled aggression, and the whispers of doubt transform into outright attempts to discredit or isolate you. You find yourself in an invisible war where your reputation, your relationships, and even your sanity can feel under assault, all while they maintain an outward facade of innocence or even victimhood. This is not just a personal struggle, it's a universal human experience, a timeless dance between sincerity and deceit that has played out in every era, in every corner of society. From the courts of ancient emperors to the quiet dynamics of a family home, the patterns of manipulation persist. The challenge isn't merely to survive this psychological onslaught, but to emerge from it intact, with your dignity and inner peace not just preserved, but strengthened. How do we hold our ground, maintain our integrity, and protect our peace when the very fabric of our reality feels under assault, when accusations fly and truths are twisted beyond recognition? How do we navigate a situation where the person who caused the harm then attempts to cast you as the villain? Our natural impulse is often to fight back with the very weapons they wield: anger, counter-accusations, desperate attempts to prove our innocence. But the danger here is profound. Once you step into that arena, you're playing their game, on their terms, and you've already ceded a piece of your peace. You become reactive, allowing their twisted agenda to dictate your emotional state and your actions. This is precisely where they want you. They seek to drain your energy, erode your self-trust, and ultimately to regain control over your perception and your response. This is where the ancient wisdom, not of aggression, but of Stoicism, offers a truly revolutionary path. The Stoics recognized that while we cannot control the external world, the actions or intentions of others, we are absolute masters of our inner citadel, our thoughts, our judgments, and our responses. They offer not a weapon for war, but a compass for clarity, a shield for your soul. They teach us that true strength lies not in lashing out, but in maintaining composure, not in proving ourselves to others, but in living in unwavering alignment with our deepest values. The problem, then, is how to apply this ancient wisdom to a deeply modern and painfully personal challenge. How do we stay grounded when the world around us, manipulated by others, seems to turn upside down? This is the core question we seek to answer, providing not just understanding, but actionable wisdom to protect your most precious possession, your inner peace. Stoic strategies for inner peace. When the truth of their deception becomes undeniable, toxic individuals don't simply vanish. Instead, they shift gears, employing a calculated series of maneuvers designed to regain control, confuse your perception, or simply wear you down. This isn't just a spontaneous reaction, it's a deeply ingrained playbook of psychological warfare, honed through years of practice. For those caught in their orbit, understanding these tactics isn't about fostering paranoia, it's about building a robust defense for your most valuable asset, your inner peace. The Stoics, with their profound insights into human nature and the supreme importance of what lies within our control, offer us more than just recognition of these ploys. They provide a clear, actionable framework for responding with wisdom, not emotional reactivity. They teach us how to observe these maneuvers without being consumed by them, how to protect our boundaries with quiet strength, and how to maintain our integrity when others seek to dismantle it. What follows are 8 common behaviors you'll encounter once a manipulator realizes you know their game, accompanied by timeless Stoic strategies to not only survive but to thrive amidst their machinations. Each step reveals a facet of their playbook, and critically, a corresponding Stoic principle that empowers you to stand unshaken. 1. They try to flip the narrative. The moment a manipulator realizes you see through them, they don't back down. They double down. One of the first things they'll do is try to flip the narrative. They sense the illusion has collapsed, the mask is off, and instead of owning up, they scramble to rewrite the story. Suddenly, you're not the one who caught on, you're the one who's overreacting. You're too sensitive, too emotional, or making things up. They play the victim, hoping to confuse you, guilt you, or make you question your own clarity. This is not just denial, it's a strategic maneuver to regain control by discrediting your insight before it even gains traction. It's an attempt to plant seeds of doubt in your mind, to make you second-guess your own judgment, and to reshape the perception of the situation in the eyes of others. This insidious tactic works because it preys on your deepest vulnerabilities and your inherent goodness. It hits you where you're softest, your desire to be fair, to not jump to conclusions, to not seem like the bad guy. And let's be real, most good people don't want conflict, they want resolution. Manipulators expertly exploit that innate empathy, that hesitation to judge too quickly, that reluctance to confront. They bank on your emotional intelligence, your capacity for understanding, and your aversion to drama. That's where the danger creeps in. When you start defending what you know, just to be heard, just to be believed, you've already stepped onto their battlefield, playing by their rules. You're expending precious mental and emotional energy trying to correct a reality that to them is a malleable construct. Here's where Stoicism offers something rare and profoundly powerful, a way out that doesn't require emotional warfare. The Stoics weren't passive, they were deliberate. They understood the value of truth, but also the immense cost of constantly trying to prove it, especially to those unwilling to see. Marcus Aurelius, in his profound meditations, didn't walk around arguing with liars or debating distorted realities. He committed to living in a way that made lies powerless, not through confrontation, but through consistent character. He believed in clarity through his actions and his inner integrity, not through verbal sparring. In his timeless words, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I'll gladly change. But if not, I'll keep walking my path." That's the unshakable mindset you need when someone tries to twist your reality. Instead of scrambling to correct the narrative, step back. Let them talk. Let them spin their version, however outlandish or self-serving it may be. You don't need to compete with lies. You just need to keep showing up with unwavering consistency, calm composure, and quiet truth. This isn't silence born of fear or weakness, it's a profound strategic silence. When you stop engaging in their drama, you effectively remove the oxygen from their fire. You rob them of the reaction, the outrage, the emotional energy that they feed on. They desperately want to pull you into their chaotic dance, but the Stoic chooses to stand still, observing the storm without being swept away. Yes, it will sting. Being misunderstood hurts. Being blamed for seeing clearly is frustrating, a bitter pill to swallow. But Stoicism teaches us that emotional pain isn't necessarily proof something's wrong. It's often proof that something matters deeply to us. And when something matters, it's worth protecting. Not with fury, but with focused, deliberate action. You hold your ground by remembering this fundamental truth. You are not responsible for other people's stories. You are profoundly responsible for how you live yours, for the integrity of your actions and the clarity of your own mind. Let them call you dramatic. Let them call you paranoid. Those who genuinely know your character will see the truth over time, revealed not in words but in consistent deeds. And those who don't were never going to anyway, regardless of your eloquent defenses. This is only the first move in their playbook. When flipping the narrative fails or becomes too exhausting for them, they often shift to something even more unsettling, pretending nothing ever happened. That's next. Let's talk about what it means when someone tries to erase the damage with silence and why that's not peace, but another form of insidious control. 2. They pretend nothing happened. After the mask falls and the manipulator sees that you've caught on, some don't lash out. They don't engage in furious denial or aggressive narrative flipping. Instead, they go quiet, not in retreat or genuine introspection, but in pretense. Suddenly, they act like nothing ever happened. There's no apology, no accountability, no acknowledgement of the breach. Just a carefully placed, "Hey, how are you?" delivered with an almost chilling casualness, or a benign comment on your social media designed to appear utterly innocuous. They try to slide back into your life, your conversations, your social circles, as if everything's perfectly normal, as if the sharp, electric moment of your realization never occurred. This isn't awkwardness. This isn't a lapse of memory. It's a calculated maneuver, a deeply strategic test. They're watching, observing your every flicker of reaction. They want to see if you'll play along, if you'll engage like before, laugh at their jokes like before, let your guard down like before. They want to know if their carefully constructed image in your eyes and perhaps in the eyes of others is still intact. And if it is, if you respond as if nothing happened, if you allow the conversation to resume its former rhythm, then they win. Not because they've genuinely changed or rectified the harm, but because you've wavered. You've implicitly given them permission to continue their pattern, suggesting that their behavior has no lasting consequences on your perception or your boundaries. It's a quiet reassertion of control, predicated on your willingness to forget or forgive what remains unaddressed. This tactic hits you where your decency and desire for harmony are most vulnerable. It preys on your discomfort with confrontation, your yearning for peace, and your innate desire to believe in the best of people. Most good individuals don't want conflict. They genuinely want resolution, a return to normalcy, a world where difficult truths can be acknowledged and moved past. Manipulators expertly exploit that very human need. They bank on your emotional intelligence, your empathy, your hesitation to judge too quickly or to hold a grudge. They count on your reluctance to disrupt the social fabric. That's where the danger creeps in. When you start defending what you know just to be heard, just to be believed, you're not only expending energy, but you're also inadvertently validating their pretense. Here's where Stoicism offers something rare and powerfully liberating. It provides a way out that doesn't demand emotional warfare or constant vigilance in the form of confrontation. The Stoics weren't passive, they were profoundly deliberate. They understood the value of truth, but also the immense cost of constantly trying to prove it to those intent on denying it. Marcus Aurelius didn't waste his precious time or mental energy arguing with those who preferred comfortable lies. He committed to living in a way that made lies powerless, not through verbal combat, but through the undeniable consistency of his character. In his profound wisdom, he articulated a mindset that becomes your fortress. If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I'll gladly change. But if not, I'll keep walking my path. This applies equally to others trying to twist reality around you. When someone tries to twist your reality by simply acting as if it never happened, the Stoic response is not to engage in their charade. Emotional distance isn't cold, it's profoundly wise. When someone who's hurt you returns with warmth, but no accountability, no genuine remorse, you don't need to slam the door, but you absolutely do need to stand firmly in it. Don't rush to re-engage. Watch. Let their actions speak, not just their words, and importantly, let time itself be your greatest judge. That's what discernment looks like. It's not bitterness, it's not stubbornness. It's choosing not to be fooled by the seductive comfort of familiarity. And if you feel a pang of guilt for not immediately embracing their sudden friendliness, remember this: forgiveness is about releasing the weight of resentment within you, not about erasing the wisdom gained from the experience. You can let go of the emotional burden without pretending the harm never happened. You can move forward with grace without inviting someone back to the same place of trust in your life. The Stoics would tell you that your peace is too valuable to gamble on fleeting appearances. You don't owe anyone your trust without it being earned and consistently demonstrated. You owe yourself your sanity, your clarity, and the protection of your inner world. This phase, the pretending, can be more unsettling than outright conflict. It plays on your empathy. It tempts you to override your instincts in favor of social harmony. But harmony built on silence and denial isn't peace. It's a fragile performance. And when the performance fails to bring you back into line, when your quiet boundaries speak louder than any words, that's often when manipulators take the next step. If charm and pretense don't work, they'll turn to sabotage, but not out in the open. No, they'll go where they think you can't hear them, behind closed doors. Let's look at what happens when exposure doesn't humble them, but makes them hostile in secret. 3. They try to undermine you behind closed doors. When someone toxic realizes you've seen behind their act, it shakes them to their core. Their very sense of control, their perceived power, relied entirely on your confusion, your doubt, your silence, your unwitting participation in their charade. Now that's gone, evaporated in the clarity of your gaze. And what replaces it in their manipulative psyche is a primal fear, fear of being exposed, fear of rejection, fear of being rendered irrelevant or powerless. That fear, rather than leading to introspection or apology, often curdles into something far more insidious: sabotage. But not the obvious kind, not the direct confrontation you might expect from a desperate individual. They don't come at you directly, arguing to your face or challenging you openly. No, they go behind your back, where they feel safe to strike, where their subtle venom can spread unseen, unheard, at least for a time. This is where the whispers begin. It could be quiet distortions of your words, taken out of context and subtly twisted to imply a negative intent. It might be mischaracterizations of your choices, framed in a way that makes you appear irrational, overly emotional, or untrustworthy. Or perhaps it's those comments that seem caring, but are in fact carefully crafted to plant seeds of doubt in the minds of others. "I'm just worried about them. They've been acting differently lately." Or, "I hope they're okay. They seem a bit off." These are not expressions of genuine concern. They are calculated psychological weapons designed to poison the well from the shadows. They're trying to make others question your integrity, your motives, your sanity, all while maintaining their own carefully cultivated image of innocence, reasonableness, or even victimhood. It's a dark performance, and in their rewritten script, you are now the convenient villain. What makes this tactic so profoundly damaging is its covert nature. You often don't know it's happening until it's already affected how people see you. You might notice a subtle chill in conversations, a shift in dynamics, or a withdrawn invitation, long before you can trace it back to the source. And when you do finally find out, the natural human impulse is to defend yourself fiercely, to match fire with fire, to loudly clear your name. You want people to know what's really going on, to understand the truth behind the lies. But here's the critical danger, a trap that the Stoics understood intimately. Once you step into that arena, once you engage in a public or private reputation war on their terms, you've already lost. Because now you're reacting, you're on the defensive, and your energy is consumed by trying to control something fundamentally external and largely beyond your immediate control: other people's perceptions. This is precisely where Stoicism offers an unshakable strategy, a quiet revolution in response. Seneca, with his profound understanding of human folly and resilience, wrote that the true mark of a great mind is its ability to rise above insults. Not to ignore them out of weakness or ignorance, but to choose not to be controlled by them. You cannot out-talk someone who is dedicated to twisting your image, especially when they operate in the shadows. What you can do, what lies entirely within your sphere of control, is to make sure your own actions are so consistent, so grounded in truth and integrity, that the lies simply can't hold up over time. You live in such unwavering alignment with your values, your authentic self, that eventually the stark contrast between who you are and what they say becomes glaringly obvious. This doesn't mean you stay silent out of fear or apathy. It means you choose your words and actions with surgical precision, with profound deliberation. You respond with clarity and directness when it's genuinely needed, perhaps to a specific individual who asks for clarification, but you absolutely do not get dragged into a public or private reputation war. The Stoics believed that reputation, by its very nature, was never fully within our control, as it resides in the minds of others. What was eternally within our control was our character, our choices, the way we show up when no one's watching, and how we conduct ourselves in every single moment. If you're being undermined in private, let your public life, your consistent behavior, and your calm demeanor reflect the truth. Let your very presence contradict the rumors. Let time, that relentless revealer of truth, do the slow, steady work that hasty words never could. Truth, unlike gossip, doesn't rush or demand immediate validation. It reveals itself patiently, subtly, in patterns of behavior, not fleeting sound bites. You may lose some people along the way, those who are too quick to judge, too eager to believe what's easy or sensational. But what you keep is worth infinitely more: your self-respect, your peace of mind, your unwavering integrity, and your ability to look in the mirror without flinching, knowing you have remained true to yourself. Don't waste precious energy trying to control what others think when you already know what's real in your own heart and mind. But be ready, because when quiet sabotage doesn't succeed, when their efforts to make you crawl back or break down fail, some manipulators will pivot again. They'll try a different angle, not destruction, but a deceptive form of redemption. They'll present a new, improved version of themselves. Suddenly they've changed. They're more understanding, more kind, more self-aware. But is it genuine growth or merely cunning bait? That's what we'll look at next. Let's talk about how some people use change not to truly grow, but to insidiously regain control over you. 4. They suddenly change to win you back. When direct tactics fail, when their aggressive denials don't hold, their shallow charm falls flat, and their insidious sabotage spectacularly backfires. Some manipulators, ever adaptable, reach for a more deceptive tool, the illusion of transformation. They don't confront anymore. They don't vehemently deny. Instead, they pivot with a breathtaking agility that can be deeply disarming. Suddenly, they're softer, seemingly more self-aware, almost reflective. They begin to say precisely the right things, offer unexpected support, or even, astonishingly, issue an apology, something they never would have dreamt of doing before. It's a performance of remorse, understanding, and personal growth, seemingly tailored to your deepest desires for resolution and reconciliation. But if you look closely, with the dispassionate eye of a Stoic, you'll realize it's not real change. It's a calculated strategy, a recalibration of their manipulative approach. They're not evolving as individuals, they're adapting their tactics. And what they truly want isn't healing or genuine connection, it's access. It's to reopen the door they believe you've just closed, to regain the emotional leverage they've lost. This can be incredibly confusing, especially when, deep down, you've harbored a fragile hope that they were capable of change. Perhaps you've even wished for it, yearned for the person you once believed them to be. You see them being helpful, genuinely present, saying things like, "I've been thinking a lot lately about my behavior," or "I want to do better. I see my mistakes now." And for a precious, fleeting moment, it feels like maybe things could be different, that perhaps the version of them you desperately hoped for is finally here, ready to embrace genuine connection. But this is precisely where clarity matters more than hope, where reasoned discernment must override emotional longing. Because manipulative people don't truly evolve by undergoing deep personal growth, they evolve by recalibrating what works on you. If guilt no longer yields the desired results, charm will be deployed. If charm fails, they'll attempt remorse. Each is a key they try in the lock of your emotional boundaries. Here's where Stoicism steps in. Not to kill your hope entirely, but to sharpen it, to temper it with discerning wisdom. Marcus Aurelius warned against becoming like those who've harmed us, a powerful directive for maintaining our own integrity. He wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This isn't about being vindictive, it's about protecting your inner state. It means we don't respond to emotional bait, however skillfully presented, with emotional decisions. The true Stoic doesn't lash out in anger, doesn't rush blindly into a sudden embrace, and certainly doesn't melt at the first alluring sign of a changed tone or a convenient apology. They observe. They track patterns, not isolated moments or grand declarations, because real, genuine change isn't loud, it's profoundly quiet. It doesn't arrive with a dramatic announcement, a public confession, or a sudden theatrical transformation. It shows up day after day, week after week, in consistent actions, in quiet humility, in sincere self-correction, in a demonstrated respect for boundaries previously ignored. And most importantly, authentic change doesn't demand instant trust or immediate re-entry into your most vulnerable spaces. It understands that trust must be rebuilt painstakingly over time, brick by painful brick. I once watched someone very close to me fall into this trap after months of being devalued and emotionally manipulated. The moment she finally pulled away, establishing firm boundaries, everything changed on the surface. The same person who had once mocked her boundaries and dismissed her feelings began praising her strength, her independence. They offered unexpected support, talked about going to therapy, even used language that mirrored what she had said during their arguments, word for word, making her feel truly understood. It felt incredibly sincere. For a short while, she softened. She let them back in, slowly, cautiously. But not long after, the insidious patterns quietly resumed. Subtle criticisms returned. Boundaries were gently but persistently pushed, and the original behaviors reappeared, albeit in a more disguised form. The remorse had been a performance, meticulously timed and executed, just long enough to regain emotional access to secure her re-engagement. She wasn't welcomed back with honesty. She was baited, then subtly trapped again. This is precisely what makes fake change so dangerous and deceptive. It's rarely dramatic. It's calculated, a precisely timed emotional ambush. It gives you just enough hope, just enough plausible deniability to let your guard down. And once that happens, the manipulative cycle quietly, almost imperceptibly, resets, pulling you back into the familiar dance of toxicity. The Stoic approach is to honor your instincts, those quiet alarms that sound in your gut, but to filter them through the cold, clear lens of reason. Stay courteous, stay kind, but keep your emotional gates locked and guarded until time has done its painstaking job of proving true transformation. Watch for consistency, not charisma. True change doesn't need to declare itself with fanfare. It proves itself through sustained, humble action. And even then, even if genuine change eventually manifests, you are never obligated to rebuild what was broken. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, a release from resentment, but it is not, and never has to be, an invitation to re-enter a dynamic that once caused you harm. Still, for those who can't fool you with this illusion of change, there's often one more move in their arsenal. It's slow, it's quiet, and it's invasively persistent. When charm no longer works, some manipulators begin testing your boundaries, not by crossing them blatantly, but by nudging them 1 inch at a time. Let's talk about how subtle pressure becomes manipulation and why the Stoic sees it coming before it breaks the door down. 5. They push your boundaries. Subtly, when someone manipulative realizes they've lost control over you, when their attempts to flip the narrative, pretend nothing happened, undermine you, or even feign transformation have failed, they rarely walk away without trying to regain some semblance of ground. But instead of storming the gates with open conflict, they meticulously test the walls quietly, subtly, almost imperceptibly at first. They start small. Maybe it's a seemingly harmless, just thinking about you text message sent long after you've established no contact. Perhaps it's a vague, almost throwaway comment on something you posted on social media, seemingly innocent but designed to pique your attention. It's the digital equivalent of tapping the glass to see if it'll crack, or sending a delicate tendril out to see if there's any surface to cling to. These aren't innocent gestures or accidental slip-ups. They are carefully designed probes. They are small, calculated moves engineered to measure whether your boundaries are genuinely firm, unyielding barriers, or merely temporary reactions to their past behavior. They want to gauge if your resolve is fleeting, a passing emotional storm that will soon blow over. If you respond in any way, even with a polite but firm rejection, they take it as permission, a sign that the line is not as absolute as they feared. If you attempt to explain your boundaries or justify your distance, they treat it as a negotiation, an opening for debate and argument that can subtly draw you back in. And if you ignore them completely, maintaining your silence and your distance, they will often escalate, but only slightly, subtly, until they hit something truly solid or, more often, find a tiny crack through which to reinsert themselves into your life. This is the stage where people often get pulled back into cycles they thought they'd definitively left behind. Not because the manipulator suddenly did something extreme or overtly threatening, but because the pressure was so subtle, so familiar, so disarmingly low-key. It felt easier in the moment to just reply than to hold the uncomfortable firm line. Easier to be polite than to be unequivocally, resolutely firm. Easier to ignore the internal alarm bells than to risk appearing cold or unreasonable. But in Stoic philosophy, boundaries are not merely declared through words, they are lived through consistent, unwavering discipline. They are the practical application of your commitment to your own well-being. Epictetus, the former slave who became a profound teacher of freedom, taught that the only thing truly and absolutely in our control is our own response, our judgments, our actions, our internal assent. We cannot control the tests others give us or the manipulative probes they send our way. But we can and must control the gate to our inner fortress. And sometimes the strongest, most impenetrable boundary is not a shouted declaration or an angry tirade, but profound, consistent silence. It is the refusal to engage with that which seeks to undermine your peace. I watched this exact scenario unfold with someone named Jordan. After months of recognizing a deeply entrenched pattern of emotional manipulation and gaslighting from someone close to her, she finally set a clear, unequivocal boundary: no more contact. She was firm, calm, and respectful in her communication. But the other person didn't fight it directly. They didn't argue. They waited. A few weeks later came a message, short, friendly, and intentionally vague. Just thinking about you. It was just enough to stir a flicker of doubt, to gingerly reopen the emotional door. Then came the shared joke in a group thread, a comment on a mutual friend's post. Later, a mutual friend casually mentioned, "They asked about you the other day, said they miss your energy." It was all so light, so accidental, so familiar. But every single one of those moments was a meticulously placed test, a gentle nudge against her boundary. And Jordan almost responded, not because she had forgotten what happened, not because she desired reconnection, but because she didn't want to seem cold, unkind, or rude. That's precisely what manipulation exploits. Not your inherent weakness, but ironically, your strengths, your kindness, your empathy, your desire to be fair, your reluctance to cause discomfort. The Stoic path doesn't tell you to be cruel or heartless. It tells you to be unshakable in your resolve. You don't owe explanations to people who have already demonstrated through their past actions their disregard for the truth or your well-being. You don't have to respond to every whisper, every seemingly innocuous gesture meant to bait you back into dysfunction. Your peace isn't rude, it's protective. Holding the boundary, especially when it's quiet, consistent, and unwavering, sends a stronger message than any confrontation ever could. It communicates without a single word an undeniable truth that resonates deeply. I am no longer available for your games. And over time, that message becomes undeniable, not just to them, but to yourself. Still, not everyone takes that message gracefully or understands the power of a firm boundary. When subtle pressure doesn't work, when you don't crack under their charm, guilt, silence, or gentle nudges, the manipulator often makes one last, desperate move. They turn away from you and toward others. They start building a story, not to bring you back, but to discredit you for good. That's where we go next, because when someone can't control your perspective, they'll try to control how others see you instead. Let's talk about isolation, defamation, and how Stoicism gives you the profound strength to rise above both. 6. They isolate or discredit you to others. When every direct attempt to manipulate you fails, when guilt, charm, sabotage, subtle pressure, and even the illusion of transformation all break against the formidable wall of clarity and composure you've built, many manipulators resort to one final, often devastating tactic: isolation and discreditation. If they can no longer control you directly, if they can't reel you back into their web, they will try with calculated malice to control how others see you. They move behind the scenes, engaging in a whispered campaign designed to plant seeds of doubt in the minds of people around you, mutual friends, colleagues, family members, or anyone whose opinion might matter to you. It's rarely a full frontal assault. It's more like a slow, insidious erosion. They don't openly attack. They subtly frame you as distant, unstable, emotionally fragile, or simply hard to deal with. They might claim, with feigned concern, that they're worried about you, or that they just want peace in the relationship, all while meticulously rewriting the story to cast themselves as the reasonable, benevolent party and you as the problematic, irrational one. They might hint at past behaviors of yours that are exaggerated or completely fabricated, always just vaguely enough to create suspicion without outright lying in a way that can be easily disproven. It's psychological warfare disguised as concern, gossip cloaked in care, designed to erode your support system and leave you feeling utterly alone. This strategy hits particularly hard because it directly attacks your sense of belonging, your social standing, and it can make you question your own footing in the world. Suddenly, people you trusted become quiet, their responses cooler. Invitations disappear. Opportunities, both social and professional, feel strangely out of reach. You're not imagining it. This subtle ostracization is real, and it's meticulously designed to isolate you, to make you feel alone, unsure, and ultimately more likely to fold, to come crawling back, or simply to stay quiet and accept their narrative. That's the manipulator's desperate hope. Not to destroy you outright, but to wear you down so thoroughly that you either capitulate or retreat into a silent, isolated existence. It is in this profoundly challenging moment, when your character itself is under assault, that Stoic philosophy becomes not just a guide, but an absolute lifeline. The natural human instinct is to fight back fiercely, to explain, to defend, to correct every single piece of the fabricated narrative. But Stoicism teaches profound restraint and a radical shift in focus. Marcus Aurelius, living in an imperial court rife with intrigue and shifting loyalties, understood this intimately. He wrote that the one thing worth clinging to in this life is to live truthfully and rightly, and to be patient with those who don't. That's not passivity. It's a supreme act of power and self-possession. You don't campaign for allies, frantically trying to win over every person who hears a rumor. You don't chase every whisper, attempting to extinguish every spark of gossip. Instead, you keep showing up, consistently, authentically, in unwavering alignment with who you really are. You learn to let the long, undeniable arc of truth outlast the short, sensational rush of gossip. A Stoic knows that true reputation, if it's genuinely earned and real, doesn't need frantic rescuing. It just needs time and your consistent, virtuous action. Your character, lived consistently and bravely, becomes the most powerful proof, a quiet but potent force that no smear campaign can erase. People who truly matter, who are discerning and capable of independent thought, will eventually see through the performance, through the manipulative smoke and mirrors. And those who don't, those who are too quick to judge, too easily swayed by a negative narrative, you realize with a newfound serenity that you don't need them in your corner anyway. Clarity, not desperate control, is your ultimate weapon. This approach won't necessarily win you applause today or immediate vindication, but it will, with absolute certainty, protect your peace tomorrow and for all the days to come. It's not easy. The silence from others can feel suffocating. The false stories can sting, particularly when they come from someone who once claimed to care about you deeply. But in that very pain, there's a deeper, more profound freedom. You realize you no longer need to exhaust yourself managing other people's opinions or perceptions. You just need to manage your own integrity, your own internal state, and your own consistent virtuous action. And that, truly, is something they can never touch, never manipulate, never steal from you. The Stoic doesn't seek revenge. They seek alignment. Alignment with truth, with virtue, with reason. You live so clearly, so truthfully, so authentically that anything built on lies eventually falls apart on its own, starved of your reactive energy. There's no need for a counterattack, no need for a tit-for-tat smear response, just quiet, unwavering discipline. That's how you truly win, not just against them, but for yourself. 7. They gaslight and deny reality. This tactic often overlaps with flipping the narrative, but it goes deeper, aiming to completely dismantle your sense of reality, to sever your very connection to truth and your own perception. When a manipulator realizes you've seen their true colors, when their mask has irrevocably shattered in your eyes, they don't just deny their actions, they deny your perception of those actions. They'll stare you straight in the eye and declare with unwavering conviction that never happened, or you're imagining things, you're too sensitive, you're completely misinterpreting what I said, or even, I remember it completely differently, you must be mistaken. They actively create a thick, disorienting fog of confusion, making you doubt your memory, your sanity, your very experience of reality. The insidious goal is to make you question yourself so profoundly that you become reliant on their version of events, their warped truth, thus allowing them to subtly but powerfully regain control over your mind and your emotional landscape. This is one of the most insidious and psychologically damaging forms of manipulation because it attacks the very core of your being, your ability to trust your own senses, your own judgment, your own mind. It leaves you feeling unmoored, adrift in a sea of conflicting realities. Imagine trying to navigate a familiar room where all the furniture has been subtly shifted, the lights are dimmed, and a constant, disembodied voice tells you that you're blind or imagining things. This is the psychological environment gaslighting creates. It erodes your confidence, making you more susceptible to their influence in the future, more likely to accept their narrative simply to end the agonizing confusion. Over time, consistent gaslighting can lead to profound self-doubt, anxiety, depression, and a shattered sense of self-trust. You might start apologizing for things you didn't do, or second-guessing every instinct, every memory. You might isolate yourself because it's easier than trying to explain your crazy experiences to others. The Stoics, keenly aware of the power of our perceptions and the importance of maintaining a sound mind, would urge you to anchor yourself firmly in truth, not in external validation or the shifting sands of another's lies. Epictetus, a powerful voice for mental fortitude, taught that it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When someone gaslights you, they are primarily trying to manipulate your reaction to their lie, to induce an emotional state of doubt and confusion that serves their ends. The Stoic response is not to engage in a futile debate over objective reality with someone committed to denying it. Instead, observe their words as external data, as mere sounds emanating from another person, completely separate from your inner conviction. You know what you saw, what you experienced, what you felt. Your internal reality is not up for negotiation. You don't need to argue or convince them. Their denial is a stark reflection of their fear, their deceit, and their desperation to maintain control, not a valid commentary on your reality. Hold firm to your internal understanding, your rational judgment. To reinforce this, the Stoics would advocate for practices that ground you in your own truth. Journal your experiences, meticulously recording events and conversations as they unfold. Talk to trusted friends or a therapist who can serve as an objective sounding board, reflecting your reality back to you without distortion. Or, in the quiet moments of reflection, simply remind yourself of the facts, the undeniable evidence of your own senses and memory. Your clarity is your impregnable armor. Their gaslighting is merely hot air, desperate breath designed to blow out your internal light. When you refuse to let their words penetrate your inner fortress, their power over you crumbles. You choose to reside in truth, not in the distorted echo chamber of their lies. This commitment to your own perception is a profound act of self-preservation and stoic resilience. 8. They engage in pity plays and victimhood. When all else fails, when every direct confrontation is rebuffed, every subtle probe ignored, every lie seen through, and every attempt at discreditation fails to truly isolate you, some manipulators will play their last, most emotionally insidious card, the pity play. They will suddenly and dramatically cast themselves as the ultimate victim. Their persona shifts from aggressor or deceiver to one of profound suffering, vulnerability, and helplessness. They might invent entirely new hardships, dramatically exaggerate existing problems, or lament how profoundly misunderstood, mistreated, and suffering they are, all meticulously designed to elicit your empathy, your compassion, and to pull you back into their orbit, often with the unspoken promise that they've learned their lesson or changed their ways. Their narrative will pivot to their own overwhelming difficulties. No one understands me. I'm going through so much right now you can't imagine. I've been so alone. Or even, chillingly, you're the only one who ever truly cared about me, the only one who sees my true struggles. This isn't a genuine cry for help that seeks a solution or offers accountability for past actions. It's a carefully crafted performance, a manipulative act designed to re-establish a bond of dependency, using your innate compassion and sense of decency against you. They bank on the human tendency to offer solace to those in pain, hoping that your kindness will override your hard-won boundaries and your rational judgment. They want you to feel guilty for holding them accountable or for simply withdrawing from their toxicity. The Stoics, with their nuanced understanding of human emotions, including compassion, taught a vital distinction between true, wise empathy and debilitating sentimentality. They recognized that while compassion is a virtue, it must be exercised with discernment, not as an open invitation for others to exploit your kindness. Seneca, for instance, spoke of sympathy that does not make one weak. True compassion means helping wisely, considering the long-term consequences, not enabling harmful behavior or allowing yourself to be perpetually drained. When faced with a manipulator's pity play, the Stoic response is to observe their actions versus their emotionally charged words. Does their suffering lead them to genuine self-improvement, to taking responsibility for their past, or merely to a demand for your endless attention, validation, and emotional labor? Is their plea for help genuinely about finding a solution to their problems, or is it merely a tool to shift focus away from their accountability, to evade consequences, and to reel you back into their destructive patterns? A Stoic would advise you to feel empathy for the human condition, for the pain that anyone might experience, but never to allow that empathy to override your reason or your firmly established boundaries. You can wish them well from a distance, perhaps even offer a detached, general expression of hope for their well-being, without sacrificing your hard-won peace or compromising your integrity. Your role is not and never has to be their savior, especially when they steadfastly refuse to save themselves. Protecting your emotional resources, your time, and your mental energy is not selfish. It is a profound act of self-care and a testament to your Stoic discipline. These resources are finite and precious, too valuable to be squandered on those who seek only to consume them. The Stoic knows that true help often comes from setting firm limits, even when it feels uncomfortable. You can forgive the individual for their flaws and mistakes, releasing yourself from the burden of anger, but you are never obligated to invite them back into the intimate spaces of your life if they remain a source of chaos and manipulation. Your peace, your sanity, and your personal freedom are non-negotiable. The unbreakable citadel, your moment of unwavering sovereignty. When the last desperate ploy of a bad person fails, when their carefully spun narratives unravel, their pretense of normalcy crumbles, their covert sabotage falls flat, their feigned transformation proves hollow, their subtle boundary pushes are met with an unyielding silence. Their attempts to discredit you only expose their own malice. Their gaslighting finds no foothold in your anchored mind, and their pitiful victimhood evokes discernment rather than blind sympathy. That is the climax. That is the key moment. It is not a clash of swords, but a quiet, profound victory of the self. This is the moment the manipulator finally comprehends with chilling clarity that their power over you is gone, not diminished, not weakened, but utterly and irrevocably extinguished. Imagine a grand illusionist whose entire act relies on your belief in their magic. They pull out every trick: smoke, mirrors, misdirection, even a tearful appeal. But you, the audience of one, have seen through every single one. You know the mechanics, the wires, the hidden compartments. And in that knowing, the magic dies. The manipulator, stripped bare of their tools, stands exposed not by your shouts, but by your quiet, unwavering gaze. They see in your eyes not anger, not fear, but a calm, discerning understanding. That understanding is their ultimate defeat. This is the moment of your unbreakable sovereignty. It is the profound realization that while they may lash out, twist truths, or even try to isolate you, they can no longer touch you. They can no longer infiltrate your inner peace. Your emotional landscape, once a battlefield, transforms into an impenetrable citadel. This isn't about an external declaration of war, it's about an internal declaration of peace. It's the silent, powerful assertion that your worth, your reality, and your tranquility are not up for negotiation. They are internal possessions, fiercely guarded not by aggression, but by disciplined clarity and an unshakable commitment to your own truth. The Stoics understood this climax better than anyone. They lived in worlds brimming with deceit and power struggles, yet they consistently emphasized that true freedom lay in mastering the self, not in attempting to control the uncontrollable external world. Epictetus famously taught, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that are not in our control." What greater freedom could there be than to stand unperturbed when another tries to manipulate your very perception, your very feelings? This moment isn't loud, it doesn't scream for attention, it doesn't need to. Its power lies in its stillness, its rock-solid defiance of chaos. It's the moment you stop being played, not by fighting back on their terms, but by simply refusing to engage in their game at all. You've reclaimed your power, not through vengeance, but through a profound act of self-awareness and self-possession. And that power doesn't scream, it doesn't chase, it doesn't argue or defend. It stands still, solid and unwavering, like an ancient oak tree weathering a storm. The manipulator may rage, may whisper more lies, may even try new desperate tactics. But their efforts now fall on deaf ears, on a mind fortified by reason, on a spirit protected by wisdom. The emotional hooks they once used to reel you in simply find no purchase. The emotional oxygen they fed on has been cut off. This is the ultimate victory of the Stoic, not triumph over an enemy, but triumph over the self's susceptibility to external chaos. It is the realization that in a world full of masks and manipulation, clarity is the truest rebellion. Peace is your most formidable shield. Integrity, lived consistently, is your unwavering answer. You are no longer navigating their labyrinth. You are standing outside it, observing its futile twists and turns with a serene and detached awareness. You are free. Conclusion. We've journeyed through the intricate and often insidious landscape of manipulation, examining the 8 distinct ways toxic individuals react when their deception is finally exposed. We've seen how they attempt to flip the narrative, trying to make you doubt your own clear perception, and how they then brazenly pretend nothing ever happened, testing your boundaries with a chilling casualness. We've uncovered their shadowy tactics to undermine you behind closed doors, whispering venom to erode your reputation, and witnessed the deceptive allure of their sudden feigned change, a calculated performance designed to lure you back into their grasp. We've explored the subtle, persistent pressure as they push your boundaries 1 inch at a time, and understood the isolating impact when they attempt to discredit or isolate you to others. Finally, we've shone a light on their most disorienting ploys, to gaslight and deny your reality, making you question your own sanity, and their desperate pity plays and victimhood designed to exploit your compassion. In each scenario, the timeless wisdom of Stoicism offers more than just a defense. It provides a profound transformation of how you engage with such challenges. It's a path not of counter-aggression, but of unshakable inner resilience. The Stoics teach us that our peace is not contingent on their chaotic behavior, but entirely on our own discerning, rational response. We cannot control the external world, the actions, words, or intentions of others, but we are absolute masters of our inner citadel, our thoughts, our judgments, and our ultimate ascent. This philosophy equips us with the mental fortitude to observe their theatrics without being swept away, to protect our boundaries with quiet strength, and to maintain our integrity when others seek to dismantle it. This journey is about understanding that the true battlefield is within your own mind. By applying these Stoic principles, you learn to detach from the drama, to see their maneuvers for what they are, desperate attempts to regain control, and to prioritize your inner calm above all else. You learn to forgive, not as an act of re-engagement, but as a release for your own soul. You cultivate a profound sense of self-worth that is immune to their accusations, and a clarity of mind that cannot be distorted by their lies. Ultimately, the power of seeing through the act and staying rooted while it collapses around them leaves you with something rare and profoundly precious: true freedom. A peace that doesn't need external validation, constant performance, or anyone's permission to exist. If you've felt the sharp sting of being used, the bewildering fog of manipulation, or the quiet, empowering realization of seeing through it all, know this: you are not alone, and you are not powerless. The wisdom of the Stoics lives on precisely because it still works. It's not just ancient philosophy. It's a vital blueprint for modern-day psychological survival and thriving. This video is merely a starting point, a glimpse into the profound strength and clarity that Stoic principles can bring to your life. Your journey towards an unshakable mind, unwavering peace, and enduring happiness doesn't end here. It begins now. I invite you to delve deeper into the transformative power of Stoicism with us. Explore other videos on the Stoic Philosophy YouTube channel, where we continually share insights and practical tools to help you fortify your inner world against external chaos. Discover more ways to cultivate mental resilience, emotional serenity, and purposeful living. To ensure you don't miss a single step on this path to inner mastery, hit that subscribe button right now. Join our growing community of individuals committed to living with wisdom, integrity, and profound calm. When you subscribe, you're not just signing up for more content, you're joining a movement towards greater self-awareness and unshakable peace. Thank you deeply for investing your precious time with us today, for opening your mind to these vital concepts. It is my sincere hope that the insights shared here empower you to navigate life's complexities with greater clarity and strength. May your journey be filled with wisdom, inner peace, and profound happiness. Stay sharp, stay strong, stay unshakable, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for watching this video here on the Stoic philosophy. If you found value in this, I invite you to explore more videos on the channel. There's so much more wisdom to uncover. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.